guys, we've all seen the news. Henry Cavill has quit The Witcher after season 3. The rest of the cast are coming back, but now Liam Hemsworth will be Geralt in season 4. Henry Cavill, Geralt of Rivia, is gone. He's coming back for season 3, which comes out in the summer, but after that, he's done. And many are arguing he's too busy as Superman now, but it might also be related to creative differences. Or maybe him and his team think this series is too much for him. It takes up too much of his time and it's holding him back from major movie roles, like Superman. And there's all this talk about him being in James Bond, House of the Dragon, and so much more. There was a report that said that Henry Cavill signed on for a short-term deal, and he felt at this point it was time for him to move on, because they film overseas, and it is a very demanding schedule. And like I said, he's back as Superman, and he has big plans for that. Personally, I think it's a combination of it all, but this coming after one of the former writers for The Witcher said other writers on the show didn't like The Witcher books and the games. They even mocked the source material. That cannot be a main coincidence. As of making this video, we have no word from the showrunner Lauren Hissrich, who mapped out 7 seasons for this show, and she said that Henry was absolutely committed. And he said the same, as long as they keep telling great stories which honour Sapkowski's work. And then came along season 2, which I don't think is an awful show. It has its flaws, and at times it's stronger than season 1, but they completely threw out the books. And I remember during the season 2 promotion, Henry voiced his opinion that he wanted to keep the show as faithful as possible, where he was on set telling them, oh, this happens in the books, I think we should do this. But it seems like they weren't listening to him. And he only had so much power. He was the main star, the biggest draw. He really only had influence over his own character. And I think this caused major problems. Because Henry said he was a huge fan of the games and the books, and he campaigned for this role. I remember making videos years ago, before it was announced that he was Geralt. He was on camera saying he was interested. People were asking him questions once the rumours started to flow out. And if you look back, you can see it in his face and his voice that he's in talks for the role, or he has it, but he just can't say. And then when it was first announced that he was Geralt, the internet was divided. I remember making a video that had about 100k views, and it had about 800 likes and about 100 dislikes. So some people loved this casting, some people hated it, and then of course we had the infamous first test, which was plain awful. But once we saw more of Henry Cavill as Geralt in photos, and of course the very first teaser trailer, opinions changed. And then we got trailers and the hype kept building up. And once the episodes dropped, I think most of us agreed that Henry was the man, he was the White Wolf. But without him, I think this show is doomed. They've got a spin-off coming out on Christmas Day, Witcher Blood Origin, but that's had a rocky road, and after this, what's the point? Guys, I'm not going to slag off Liam Hemsworth, like so many are doing online. He might be alright, but without Henry Cavill as Geralt, this show is doomed in my opinion. And there was reports a while ago they're going to film season 4 back to back, and I think this is why. Get them done, release them within a year, and then end it after 5 seasons. Not the 7 that they originally wanted. But I think once Henry leaves after season 3, nobody will care. And that season 3 press tour will be very, very interesting. Henry might even take a step back. Honestly, I think Netflix have wasted the Witcher IP. It's not as well known as, for example, The Lord of the Rings that Amazon got. But it had so much potential because The Witcher 3 was massive. It won so many awards, made so much money, and is the reason why the show is made. Because they thought they could make the next big fantasy show from something that already had an established fan base. And of course, Witcher 1 is getting a brand new remake from the ground up, and The Witcher 4 is coming out, and that's going to be the start for a new trilogy. And then you've got the books, which are massive in Poland and other parts of Eastern Europe, but they've grown overseas since the games. And if you haven't read the books or listened to them on Audible, I highly recommend you do that. But The Witcher had so much potential. It started off decent in season 1, but in season 2 it felt like the writers knew better. I've always accepted that changes have to be made. I always say what works on page doesn't always work on screen, but I think there is some truth in the reports that some of the writers didn't like and even mocked the source material. And guys, we've all done jobs we didn't like, but as a writer you have to show some respect. And I think too many writers in Hollywood now are getting these jobs in fantasy and superhero movies and all that, but they have no idea what's going on. They haven't read books or comic books or anything like that, and they just don't care. They think they know better. And it seems like some of them are laughing at us behind our backs. Guys, I don't think you have to be a fan, but you have to show some respect to the source material and those who love it. I remember Lauren said way back that she didn't seek out 10 Sapkowski scholars. And I don't think you have to be a Witcher encyclopedia to write for this show, but come on. I think a working knowledge of The Witcher was required. And I think this is happening all too often. Amazon gave the Rings of Power to 2 very inexperienced showrunners, who had I think 1 credit, if that, on a Star Trek script that never came to be. And now they were given $1 billion to make The Lord of the Rings. But they were more interested in writing what Tolkien didn't write than making a good, faithful adaptation. And I think The Witcher suffered from something very similar. I think the showrunner and the writers do have experience, but they want to force their own views on what The Witcher is, or what they want it to be. That was their main priority. And them allegedly mocking the source material just sums it all up. Shows like The Witcher, The Rings of Power, and so many other shows wanted to become the next big fantasy piece, the next Game of Thrones, which turns out was House of the Dragon all along. House of the Dragon is far from perfect, but it's very, very good. A true successor show to Game of Thrones, which restored faith in that after its final season. It seems like the key is to give control to talented and experienced people who love the story and don't wish to force their own agenda through an adaptation. They respect the source material and the fans who spend their hard-earned money to make it possible. I think some people who worked on The Witcher loved it and respected the source material and the fans, but for others, not so much. And in the end, I think it is a factor in the show losing its biggest star and probably giving it an early death. So yeah, I think Henry left for his own reasons, his schedule and his return as Superman. But I also think because he's such a massive fan of the show, once it started to deviate more and more, he got sick. He wanted season 3 to be truer to the books. He said that after season 2, and the hints were all there that he did not enjoy what they'd done. And like I said, season 3 is next summer, and I think we'll find out if that's true or not. But I've got a very bad feeling. I didn't hate season 2, I actually enjoyed it first time watching it, but looking back, they've just threw the books out, and it's harmed the show in the long term. This is awful news, guys. I don't think it could get any worse, and I think this show is at its end. But that season 3 press tour will be very interesting, and I'm sure some very interesting details will come out once Henry's left. But without him, what's the point? No matter what the reason is, it does suck for us. But guys, Henry is his own person, he can make his own decisions. So I don't hold any ill will towards him, and I think him returning as Superman is a major factor. But I also think he's got tired of the writers messing about with the source material. Guys, I'll still cover The Witcher season 3, but I think I might be done after that point. And I honestly feel bad for Liam Hemsworth, who's stepping in to an impossible situation. He's screwed no matter what, even if he gives a good performance. Because Henry Cavill was this show, and his chemistry with Anya, Freya and Joey. Guys, rest in peace The Witcher. I am truly sad and angry, but that's show business for you. So guys, make sure you post your thoughts about Henry Cavill leaving The Witcher. But no matter what, I guess we still have the books and the games with new ones on the horizon. But once Henry goes, the show's done. We will miss you, White Wolf. Yeah guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.